Hello
Hello
there.
there. Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars in the Galaxy, watching all the Star Wars we can get our hands on. I'm Eli.
I'm Jacob.
And today we got a great episode of Star Wars in the Galaxy for you today. Episode 176, the premiere episode of season 22 of Star Wars in the Galaxy. For you all, it's been 2 weeks since we've released an episode. For us, it's been about a month since we've recorded. Jacob and I have since seen each other on his neck of the woods for a change. Jacob's finally seen the first 3 episodes of The Acolyte. We're
Yeah.
rooting for more of them.
Yeah.
Uh,
I was actually gonna binge it tonight and see how much I could get through. 'Cause I have
I'm
some free
excited for.
time.
I'm excited for. Again, text me what you think. Obviously,
I will. Well, yeah.
but no, but we're not talking about The Acolyte today. Even though that's a lovely show, we're talking about Star Wars Season 2, Episode 1. We're just doing the one episode because it's a double length episode. Season 2 premiere of Star Wars Rebels: The Siege of Lothal.
That
What an
is
episode
right.
we have today. Jacob, would you please give us the summary of this double length episode?
Yes, happily. So we open season 2 with a dogfight in space. The Ghost and the Phantom, flying alongside the Corvettes and A-wings of Phoenix Squadron, manage to steal some cargo from an Imperial convoy and escape right as reinforcements arrive. Back on Lothal, Agent Kallus and Darth Vader are on Minister Tua's throat to crack down on rebel activity, and are pretty much threatening her with Tarkin, with visiting Tarkin, saying that she has to account for her failures. She fears for her safety and contacts the rebels, who receive her transmission from the bridge of one of the Corvettes. And she says to the rebels, "I'm not safe here. I want to defect. I'll give you a list of rebel sympathizers if you bring me to safety." So after a little bit of deliberation, the Ghost crew decides that they're going to head back to Lothal on a stolen passenger shuttle for anonymity, not on the Ghost. And they make their way back to Lothal in order to rescue Minister Tua. So Minister Tua, Maketh Tua, she pulls up with Agent Kallus, and the rebels spring their ambush, attacking her, or attacking the Imperial convoy. And Maketh Tua sprints towards safety, towards this Imperial shuttle that they're all supposed to escape on. But right as she runs on, but luckily before the rebels can run on, the shuttle explodes. There was a bomb on the shuttle, and this was all a big setup. And we see Darth Vader watching this happen. The Ghost crew try to escape on their own shuttle, but they are shot down, and they're shot down by a walker and chased on foot through the streets of Lothal before taking cover, hiding out in Ezra's old house, Ezra's family's old house. The rebels have to hatch another plan to get off of Lothal, and they decide that with the entire garrison, spread out all over Capital City, hunting down any signs of rebel activity, the safest place or the easiest place to go might actually be Imperial HQ. So they sneak into the headquarters and they steal some military grade shield generators on their way to trying to commandeer an Imperial shuttle. However, right as they're about to get on board, Ezra and Kanan feel a presence they felt when they first got to Lothal, but now it is stronger. And Darth Vader reveals himself. He attacks Ezra and Kanan and is pretty much toying with them. Yeah, he's pretty much toying with them. He almost kills Ezra, but Sabine and Zeb blow up the legs of some ATDP walkers, and as they're falling, Ezra and Kanan push Vader into them with the Force so that he's trapped under them. However, Vader being Vader, that hardly stops him, and the rebels, they pretty much escape with their lives. They contact Lando for help smuggling themselves off of the surface of Lothal. Lando is not there, but he gives them these transponders, which they use to fake their shuttle's transponder signal and basically confuse the Empire as to where they are on the surface of Lothal. And they use that in order to escape. They go back to the fleet and the Phoenix Home, their flagship. However, there was a tracking device aboard the shuttle that they escape on, and Darth Vader, just Darth Vader, in his TIE fighter, his TIE experimental, he comes out of hyperspace and absolutely demolishes the rebel fleet. He takes out a bunch of A-wings. The Ghost is flying around trying to dogfight him. He pretty much destroys. Yeah, he does destroy Phoenix Home, their flagship. And Ahsoka and Kanan reach out through the Force to try and sense who this dark side presence is, who's piloting this fighter. And they realize that it's the Sith Lord. Kanan realizes it's the Sith Lord that they faced back on Lothal. And Ahsoka, although she doesn't confirm whether she knows it's Anakin, Vader does, or Vader, I guess, yeah. Vader does in fact realize. He says the Apprentice lives. He knows it's Ahsoka, and Ahsoka falls into a coma of sorts. Now they manage to escape, but it is once again incredibly close, and we end with Vader contacting Palpatine, saying that Ahsoka is alive. The apprentice of Anakin Skywalker lives. And I missed one thing. I missed one more plot point to the episode, which is that Vader orders Kallus to burn Tarkin Town to the ground, knowing that the rebels frequently go there to help out the impoverished citizens, sort of sending a message. And Ezra and Kanan do see the burned remains of Tarkin Town, and Ezra is forced to confront the reality of what it means to fight against the Empire. And that is the Siege of Lothal. Now, Eli, on Disney Plus, the Siege of Lothal is presented as two parts, as two separate episodes. Now, I know we've had this conversation before, but did this one originally air as one 45-minute like Spark of Rebellion did, or was this? Do we know if this was originally
so.
one or two?
I believe so. I believe this. I think there's obviously both versions are out there.
Yeah.
But yes, I believe that it originally aired as a double feature, I think,
Yeah. Okay. Because originally, yeah, I remember for some of these ones, and back in the day in like 2014, 2015, if you weren't watching it on Disney XD, you had to stream it on you had to buy it on Amazon, I think, and that's what I did at least. And I do remember that the Spark of Rebellion in specific was just one 45-minute episode. I can't remember what this one was. But in any case, we've got a banger of an episode today. Really sort of, there was that really kind of famous, right when season 2 of Rebels, or right before it was coming out, there was one of the cast had sort of this famous quote saying, we'll see season 2 get a lot, darker and more intense. I believe that was the phrasing. I'm thinking maybe it was Vanessa Marshall, and I think a lot of people were talking about that. And this is definitely darker and more intense. It really sets the table for a lot of the themes and growth that we see for our characters throughout season 2. So where do you want to jump in on this one, Eli?
One of the things I really like about this episode, and about just generally Rebels from here on out, is I understand why season 1 was structured how it was. I really do.
What do you mean by that?
I think its structure is very good of introducing us to this intimate cast of characters, the 6 characters, and then a villain or two, a Grand Inquisitor, but really Kallus is kind of an overarching villain.
Yeah.
At least in the
season 1,
parts.
it really is just the characters kind of getting to know each other in a sense. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you.
Yes. But they need to see the larger galaxy. We need to see the larger galaxy. And so we need a reason for them to, both plot-wise and emotionally, for them to want that.
Yeah.
And we get that in this double episode, which is that the plot reason is because the Empire is basically chased them off Lothal.
Yeah.
And of course, the emotional reason is a different version of that, which is that they realize that whatever they do, the Empire is going to strike back at them, no pun intended. And so that they have to be strategic, incredibly strategic in exactly how they fight.
Yeah, I think especially for Ezra, but the rest of the crew too, who sort of can call Lothal home. I think, especially after season one, we don't know exactly how long. I don't know exactly how long they were there before the events of season one, but especially for Ezra, but for the whole crew, this episode is sort of them realizing that at this point, with the capabilities that they have, they do more harm than good if they stay. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
hard, especially for Ezra, for a community, it's his home. But this is sort
yeah.
of the leaving home season, and then eventually, in season 4 we kind of come
And in two and
full
three,
circle and they free Lothal. Yeah,
2 and 3, we come back. We come back like in
yeah,
10 episodes. But
yeah.
what
We're
I
not gone
but like
forever, but it's like
yeah,
it's not based
it's
on
not based on
Lothal.
Lothal until
It's not
4.
deeply
Yeah, you're
entrenched in
absolutely
Lothal until in the way that it is in season 1. Like
yeah,
this is really
yeah. Yeah,
this is
and I think that's important because like and this is just me. I love Star Wars as an operatic, you know, galaxy spanning. I want us to, to borrow a phrase from, a rival franchise, to explore strange new worlds.
yeah.
And like that's so my Star Wars. Like that's the most of the Star Wars projects I love capture that rousing, rollicking adventure feel.
So going all over the place. Yeah, I
Going
know
all
what
over the
you
place,
mean.
exploring new
Yeah,
places, revisiting old places if necessary.
yeah.
But yeah, no, let's cut to the
I
chase though.
think
I want to talk about the
yeah.
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say with what you said, I think that's something that makes, Rebels Rebels is, one of those projects where it really is part of what makes Rebels so special is what an intimate and careful and extensive, study and portrait of its characters it gives us. And in a way that's sort of mirrored in, at least really in seasons 1 and 4, that's mirrored in the relationship that we see with the characters and their home planet of Lothal. And then in seasons 2 and 3, it's more of the, like you said, going all over the place, kind of swashbuckling adventures on, however many, literally uncharted planets, with the honorable ones, desert islands, so to speak, you know. So that is definitely
Yeah,
what we're gearing up for in this season. I totally
yeah,
agree.
and I'm excited to get there, but of course we need a reason to get off of Lothal, and that reason is 2 words long. Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And we'll get to this. Obviously, I want to this is the last general comment I'm going to make before I want to talk more specifically, do our breakdown as we usually do it. The use of Vader in this way as a plot device, and Vader is of course not just a plot device in these episodes, but he serves an interesting plot device in the way that he has to come in and humiliate the Ghost Crew. The Ghost Crew has been getting a lot of wins on Lothal. They're looking like the Empire's starting to panic about them. They sent in
Yeah.
Tarkin, but then they even beat Tarkin and the Inquisitor, and they're like, all right, we're not going to play anymore. So they bring in the big guns. They bring in Darth Vader, and his presence obviously is felt throughout these episodes. So frankly, these are, to me, the Darth Vader episode. This is the Darth Vader episode of Star Wars Rebels, even though he
Yeah.
appears in another episode that is more famous, and I actually even like more than this episode. I still think of this as the Darth Vader episode. But yeah, we'll talk about Vader soon. But already, we started the Rebel fleet.
Yeah.
Which what a concept, a Rebel fleet.
Yeah.
Like
The
you know what
first
I
the
mean?
first Rebel fleet. This is it. Yeah. This is the
I mean, one of
nucleus.
the first.
Yeah.
We'll see. There are a bunch of
Yeah.
rebel cells scattered across the galaxy.
Yeah.
Saw Gerrera rants about them in Andor season 1. Without spoilers to you, we will see more
Yeah.
of them in Andor season 2.
Yeah. There are more of us.
Yeah, well, yeah, not yet, but
Eventually,
because
yeah.
everybody still fucking hates each other. Either way, point being, I forgot how much of a plot point and an emotional plot point the idea of joining the bigger fight is. Because Kanan, obviously, we hear from Kanan very early on. Where is this? Kanan says,
fighting along soldiers, it's not what I signed up for.
Authorization procedure, that's what's bothering me. When you and I started together, it was rob from the Empire, give to the needy, he tells Hera. A noble cause. Now we're getting drawn into some kind of military thing. And I get it. From Kanan's perspective, I get it. He was involved in one war. He says as much later in the episode. He was involved in one war, and look how much that war took from him.
Yeah, he's scared, and he should be.
And now, just as he's getting into the swing of doing like a noble cause thing where it's not necessarily safe, but like he's gotten into a rhythm with it, he's right back where he started.
Yeah. Well, I think if you look at, what happened to the Jedi Order and sort of, what Luke says in episode 8 about the Jedi, we think about, every Jedi.
About the Jedi what, Jacob?
Yeah.
About the Jedi what?
They lost their way. But I think every Jedi, must be having some version of that, conversation with themselves, the survivors, sort of thinking about, like, we thought that our order, would stand for another 20,000 years, as solid as the ground the temple was on, of course, yada, 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 yada. What has sort of gone wrong? He's very afraid of, I would imagine, going back to fighting period, and especially fighting someone's war. Yeah, that's something that
there's that line that he says to Hera in that same conversation. I saw what the war did to the Jedi, to everyone. And there's that line from the end of Clone Wars Season 6, from that monologue I love so much at the end with Yoda and Mace Windu and Obi-Wan. Yeah. No longer sure I am that one does win a war, for in fighting the battles, the bloodshed, and the terror. I'm going to look at my feed to see what that line is, because it's so goddamn good.
Yeah. In the meantime,
in the fighting, in the battles, already lost so much we have.
Yeah, and that is
the basic gist of the quote.
That is the core of why fighting is so detrimental for the Jedi, and why Kanan is so scared of it. I think at another point in Ambush, Yoda says, wars are not won, they're survived. Sort of a similar.
I think that's a fortune cookie, but maybe, I don't know.
He says that. He says something like that in the episode. I might not have got the quote exactly right, but.
Okay, no, I trust you with that. I was just like, that sounds like a fortune cookie to me.
So. It might be one as well. Like, for all we know, there's so many fortune cookies. But
the idea of and of course we'll get to it later with the destruction of Tarkin Town, which is also a plot point I completely forgot about from this episode until I watched it in the last few days. There are consequences. It's not like the rebels didn't know that. What it's new for them is there's consequences not directly having to do with them. That's what's different. The Empire's coming down, like every time last season, like they made a move, the Empire came down on them harder. Cool. They can deal with that. It's tough, but they can deal with that. But when the Empire starts to take out its anger, or even provoke these rebels with the suffering of others, now that's a moral quandary that they're not incredibly prepared to deal with. Because again, they are decent human beings, as opposed to fucking bastards like Luthen and Rael, who admit, like, and this is not me railing against Luthen and Rael, not real, like, no pun intended. Again, this is not me like going hard against Luthen and Rael or anything like that. It's just me saying that. That we see that compared to Luthen and Andor, where he's said, I want to provoke the Empire to clench to come down as hard as they can, so that people will rise up. The Ghost Crew's different. They want to play this game as, like, with the straight and narrow as they possibly can. They do things to hurt the Empire and help the needy. And I actually don't really know where I was going with this. I guess what it's just this all to say that they are starting to grapple with the fact that their actions now have unintended consequences.
Yeah.
And not just the intended ones.
Yeah, or it's sort of like other people who aren't making the choice to fight now are being killed and having their lives upended because of the rebels' choice. And I think with the Jedi and sort of their ethos, especially, that's that's a very difficult thing to reckon with.
I will say, for what a bombshell of an episode this is, and I'm specifically talking about the part 1, we'll talk about the cold open for part 2, which is fantastic. But the cold open for part 1, I think, is very weak. It cuts when reinforcements arrive, which, cool, reinforcements arrive all the fucking time. Like, that's what Imperial reinforcements do.
Yeah.
But it's fine. This episode's still great anyway. We immediately, in the middle of battle, I forgot about this. This is another example of Rebels being, as we've talked about, ruthlessly efficient in its storytelling. They don't give us a grand introduction to Jun Sato. He's just kind of there.
Yeah.
He just gets introduced, and we're just expected to clock, okay, Commander Sato, commander of Phoenix Squadron, works with the Rebels. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll learn about Mike Capo and his specific philosophies around battling and battles and stuff like that later. For now, Commander Jun Sato, he's here. Let's go.
Yeah, he's just sort of like he's the guy who wants to do things properly. That's sort of what we need to know for now. We get
he's a military man to on the caliber of Hera at this point. Like he is an overseer who the crew minus Hera, who's more on his level, has to consult back to.
Yeah,
when all is said and done.
Hera even sort of takes. At this point, they are kind of a little bit, floating free. But Hera does have to take orders from him, I think. At certain
but she also orders him to retreat when.
That's true.
When the battle gets intense. So
she doesn't really order him. She's just kind of like she strongly suggests it. Like he doesn't technically have to follow it, but he's like.
But it's also like it's also not like an act of
she's like,
but it's also not
listen to yourself.
Seen as an act of. It's also not seen as an act of insubordination, which is why I think it's better that at least for me to think that they're on roughly equal level.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we don't really. I mean, that's sort of what this episode is all about. Is the Ghost crew? They don't really know how they fit into all this. They're trying to figure that out. Clearly, Kanan. If we want to talk about something, Kanan has some ideas. We got to talk about sassy Kanan, petty Kanan, because I live for him in the first 10 minutes of this episode. He is fantastic. He's literally doing that the cliche like crew member who's not okay with what's happening is sitting off in the back, leaned up against something. He's so, oh my gosh, man. Yeah. The whole with Chopper just, Chopper has a transmission. All right, Chopper, let it through. Like clearly just trying to do anything to fly in the face of what he sees as sort of the order and the, like he said, the procedures and the order that he feels is just, completely stifling him. But also, we get a really important conversation between Kanan and Hera that sort of, we talked about this a little bit already, but it sort of illuminates where Kanan is coming from and then where Hera is coming from, where the counter argument is we have the opportunity to do more good now. We can amplify our impact. And shout out to Kanan and Hera as well for healthy relationship models. Even though Kanan's kind of being he's being a total doofus, and Hera's like, hey man, talk to me. What's going on? And I appreciate that. We can all appreciate that. And the fact that I think later in this episode, Hera refers to her and Kanan as mom and dad.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that moment. That's adorable.
Yeah, that's a fandom classic for Rebels folks.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. So anyway, I was doing a little research on the side because there was a logistical question I had later, but I want to get to the other big part of the opening of this episode, of course. Let me get the lines up here just because it's fantastic. This episode's dialogue, I mean, the Rebels dialogue is always great, but this episode's dialogue is just fantastic. Give me a second. I've doubled patrols, set up checkpoints, established curfews. I honestly don't know what else to do. Perhaps that is the problem.
You lack imagination, Minister, when it comes to producing results.
Mm,
Darth
yeah.
Vader is here, and
Oh my
it's
gosh. Yeah.
going down.
She
First of
can't
all,
handle the aura.
oh,
Nobody
truly. No one has had more aura in the series so far than Vader has in this episode.
He's
Like,
so
and
shamelessly aura farming in this episode. Like the way he walks in, the thing with the walker and the force.
we'll
You know,
get to
he
that
could have
later, but
pushed
yeah,
those. Yeah, yeah.
Vader in this episode is masterfully used, in my opinion. He's just like I know Henry Gilroy wrote the first part of this. Did he write the what was it him the second part alone, or was it?
Ooh,
Let's see. Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Both parts were written by Henry Gilroy. Henry Gilroy, my God, knows how to write Darth Vader. Like, this is some. There are like several lines in this episode from Vader that I put up with, like, some pretty famous, don't make me destroy you, or you don't know the power of the dark side from the original trilogy, in
He's
like the
on
Hall of Fame of Vader lines.
on his shit in this episode. This is like the
I
full
also
Vader
love
experience.
this
Bro. I love
episode.
it so much.
I also love this episode and just generally Vader this season as sort of a victory lap for James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
He did the original trilogy as it was becoming big and all that kind of stuff, became one of the most iconic voices in cinema through this. Then it gets a little dash in the prequels, but like a line or two basically. And now he gets to be peak Vader. This and Rogue One, he gets to be like Vader in his prime, and he just gets to like eat this shit up. And you can feel like I feel like he was enjoying this, is what I'm trying to say. As always, rest in peace, good sir. Thank you for all you've given us with this character. My God, this episode for me is carried by James Earl Jones, and I mean no disrespect to anybody else. It's just like you immediately sense that the rebels are in trouble when Vader is brought on board. And it's important to feel that way because it's something I think the new canon has generally done a good job of making Vader feel important. Definitely in the shows, in the video games, yeah, maybe a little bit oversaturation through just the Vader immortal stuff, but even still, like Vader is an important tool to be used in storytelling in this era. What do you think the time gap is between seasons 1 and 2? Because like it's not I don't know.
That's a good question. I feel like it can't be long because Hera and Kanan, they're the conversations that they're having. It seems like this is the first time that they're having the conversations about, Kanan being unhappy.
Yeah, I was gonna say because
It seems like not much has happened where they've solidified what they're doing next at all.
Yeah, I agree with you because
I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of other like clues.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about what they're. Go ahead. Yeah.
Because my thing, and I think it's probably like a week or something like that. Because my thing, and I get that Vader was used as a tease at the end of season 1, but like it was a bit of a weird logistical thing of like, why are they just bringing Vader on? Like the I guess I thought there was a larger gap between the two seasons before than there might have actually been, because it was like, okay, the attack on Star Destroyer, on the Tarkin Star Destroyer happened. Why did they wait this long to bring Vader in? I think it is like just like a week or something like that. I can like buy that, or maybe a few weeks. I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, and it's specifically with the line, "You lack imagination, Minister," when it comes to producing results. It's like, yeah, Vader, where have you been? That's like the entire problem the Empire's been having in the first season. Like, Tarkin came on the scene because of that.
but I think it was something that he just needed that he just needed to directly say to Tua. Either way, we have maybe one of the most iconic Vader lines, the most iconic Vader line, probably the second most iconic Vader line since 05 with No. Only behind, for me, I Am What You Made Me from Obi-Wan Kenobi. We have... I'm going to build up to this. If they're not here, we will draw them back. And if they are here, we will draw them out. We will squeeze Lothal until someone reveals the whereabouts of these traitors. That line, I remember when I heard that line for the first time, and I thought, holy shit. That is an all-time Darth Vader line. It's just terrifying. I think it's the delivery of the word squeeze from James Earl Jones. It's just like, my God, he's
we're gonna squeeze Lothal. Dude, what does squeeze even mean for like Darth Vader? Like it's kind of the not euphemistic, but the metaphorical nature of it with someone as brutal as that, like, is scary, you know?
Yeah, and of course it's made even more impactful by the fact that, you know, it's Anakin fucking Skywalker behind that mask. And and he uses this type of language all the fucking time whenever he needs to deal with something, and he's like, oh no, he means business this time. Lord. They're in fucking trouble. Yeah. What Vader says often, I feel like, reveals a lot about like his own assessment of the situation. Like Vader, of course, being talking a lot less as Vader. When he does talk, it reveals a lot about the state of mind he is in, which sounds obvious, but still. Yeah. So obviously we get our first twist of this episode, which is that Tua's turning coat.
Yeah.
Tua is turning coat. Not for altruistic reasons, I believe. I think it is just as a protection of her safety.
Oh yeah, 100%. She is terrified. She's running for her life. She realized
that the Empire is after her, and nobody in the Empire is going to keep her safe from Lord Vader. And she's not. I'm sure she's not sure if the rebels can, but she's like, well, at least they'll try.
She probably heard I wonder if she maybe heard a rumor of what happened to Grint and Oresco when they had their meeting with...
Was she there?
She wasn't there. Was she? I don't think she was.
I feel like she might have been there.
Oh, then she definitely would have. Wait. Let me just look it up really fast.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Oresco, Grint, death. Yeah, she's there.
Yeah, she's there.
So so not even that. She knows what happened. She knows what could happen. That's why she's so terrified of even just sitting down for a meeting with Tarkin, you know.
Yeah.
And Kallus is being...
She's next on the chopping block, which Kallus dodged
Kallus like loves
now.
it though.
Good for him.
Kallus like is seemingly like taking pleasure in her being terrified by this. You know, but I think to her credit,
and you're right, but like I also think there's another reason now that I'm thinking about it. I think Kallus is just delayed because it's not him.
Oh yeah, totally. If someone else can take the fall, you know,
because it's been Grint and Oresco, and now it's been Tua. Like Kallus has been really good, even though he's like the main security officer on the scene at dodging any fucking consequences.
Yeah, somehow he is like avoided being taken to task for like. Well, to be fair, like every time, like he has genuinely been like close to like he is literally about to execute Zeb when like,
and he's
like
he's not a local official.
He's about to like multiple times where he's like about to have a major victory, and then some like absolutely like paranormal shit happens. Like Ezra like discovers he has like a force power he didn't know how to use before, and just like folds him in half. You know. Like that happens a few times in season 1, so you can't really.
Yeah, and also
I don't know if we can blame him too much.
Kallus is not a local official; he's with the ISB, so I think there's probably a different bar for failure for him.
Yeah, and he's under a completely different chain of like.
Yeah, we see hierarchy structure.
We see who the ISB is how much sway they have in Andor, especially, that this makes a lot of sense. All of a sudden, he is accountable to like a completely different chain of people than Maketh Tua or Oresco or Grint or anyone local is.
Minor spoiler for Andor season 2 for you that won't affect anything, which is that Cyril does work in a bit of a capacity with the ISB in season 2. I'll just say that. I'm saying this only to say I'm just imagining Kallus like seeing this guy, this motherfucker come into ISB headquarters one day with Dedra and being like, "Who's this bitch? What's this bitch doing in my Imperial Security Bureau headquarters? What the hell is he here?"
Yeah. But I mean, to Maketh Tua's credit, and I'm kind of, obviously she kind of, RIP to her.
Yeah.
It does seem like to her credit, like she does say, I'm not like, she says to them, like, I can't remember the exact wording she uses, but she says, like, I'm not like, this is not who I am. This is not what I'm here for, to do all this brutal stuff. Like, I think she's clearly like very like, bought in and just drank the Kool-Aid of Imperial.
It's
it's
an institutionalized sort of thing. I don't
fascism.
think she.
But at the same time, she does like seem to have at least some care for. I guess it's unclear exactly to me whether she does like have some care for Lothal and does feel like she cares about his
don't
place,
think so.
or whether she just is uncomfortable with like actually sort of seeing how the sausage is made and being involved in like, like actually, crushing a planet's sort of morale.
Not that they should be relied on for anything like that, or anything, but like the Wikipedia page for Maketh Tua says about this: fearing for her life, she contacted the cell and arranged for passage of Lothal.
Yeah,
and I really think it's that simple.
Maybe it is that simple. I don't think that the Wikipedia page, whoever wrote that probably doesn't know any more than we do. But like,
I'm not saying.
In all honesty, it probably is that simple. I just feel it's weird. I feel a little bad for her, but then also like, I don't know,
But yeah, we already talked. I'm looking through my notes. We did the conversation with Hera and Kanan. When obviously Tua contacts them, Zeb asks, after all the trouble she's caused us, why should we help her? And Ezra says, because that's what we do. Help those who can't help themselves. And what I love about that is instantly that's because that's the lesson that Ezra learns in season 1 is what selflessness means. And he has it in himself. He has it in him. He just needs to remember. And the Ghost Crew helps him remember. And instantly off the bat, the first major decision he makes in season 2 is that of selflessness. He still has many things ahead of him to become a Jedi, but that is a promising start for him. I'll just say that.
Yeah, definitely.
But so they're landing they land back on Lothal. Kallus clocks that she's gonna try something funny. They rig this thing to explode, and it's shocking. It's terrifying. Like the fact that the 1-2 punch of it really to me is that they kill their own admittedly turncoat official, and of course, Kallus points at them and goes, "You did this."
Yeah,
and it fucking
which is
works.
weird because, it's really weird and sort of it makes me wonder actually, because we see Kallus, come around the corner as Tua's fleeing her office and direct the probe after her. So like it seems like he knows that something's up.
Oh yeah.
Like, is he saying that just to like cover his tracks with the rebels?
Oh, I think that's exactly what's happened.
I think
what happened is that Kallus figured something up, contacted some people in the ISB or the Empire.
She might make a break for it.
Rig the shuttle to explode. Yeah, and then it'd be a weird look. It'd be a terrible look if the Empire just randomly killed one of their own officials. So what you have to do is blame it on the rebels. Also, 1-2 punch, which is that it will now be used to sow fear and distrust.
Yeah.
Among the rebels, because you can just brand that a terrorist attack.
Yeah.
And just do what you want with that, and then.
Yeah, I mean they have that whole propaganda set up like ready to go. They immediately hop on the HoloNet and they're like, these terrorists killed the beloved Maketh Tua, they blew up the ship.
Yep. They blew up the
Just
ship.
sort of like, how did he know? Like, it seems like there was so much, like, the more I think about it, it seems like elaborate enough. Like there must have been some planning, like all for the contingency that she might defect or try to escape, like it's kind of, I don't know. I'm left wondering, like it doesn't quite.
Maybe they tracked her transmission. That's
maybe they did.
Like,
which is they said it's an encrypted transmission, and like it's always sort of like it seems like those transmissions have like really amazing security based on what we've seen throughout Star Wars. But maybe that's you never.
And
know.
I don't doubt it on the Rebels' end. I doubt it on Tua's end. But
if she's contacting them like from her office or whatever,
who knows where she's contacting?
Could have like a physical wire.
No, she's contacting from old Joe.
Oh remember? yeah, it was from old Joe. So again, how?
Yeah.
And maybe there was I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the most like the thing that would make the most sense is if the Empire somehow heard or got a hold of that transmission and knew what was going to happen. Otherwise, there's just so many variables. Where I'm like, but I feel like again, like at the end of the day, I really love Rebels, and like as more of a, especially in the first couple of seasons, as more of a kids show, there's all sorts of kind of little moments where I'm like, if you really think hard enough about this, it kind of breaks down.
I still think it clocks, but
you kind of have to just let it be. Sometimes you just got to let it be what it is. It's about the why, not the how, as you like to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that's a Force Center thing. I don't want to take credit for that.
Yeah, it's Force Center. I know you got it from somewhere else. Yeah. Shout out to Force Center.
Shout out again, Joseph and Jennifer, always. But yeah, so they do this crazy. They make this crazy gambit to try and escape through the Imperial compound itself. The Imperial complex. Are you crazy? Does anybody ever say yes to that question? Fantastic.
Yeah, I love that line. I love that line. Yeah.
And then they finally get there. They smuggle themselves in. Something's off. Turn around. A pitch black figure with a crimson lightsaber. And that infamous fucking breathing.
Oh, yeah. Unbelievable.
My God. My God.
Yeah.
Just yes.
Yeah. I mean, the way that they both.
That's how I do it!
Oh my gosh. Dude, that jump scared me so bad.
Sorry.
Oh.
Jump scared by Scotty Giro.
Dude, I was like looking away for like 1 second. Like I kind of like was like scratching my hair, like looking into my head and just, oh my God.
Should I cut that?
No, that's fine. That's hilarious. You're gonna have to splice that out and make that into like a. You show that. You gotta show me that. I need to see like my own reaction, like the 2 seconds leading up to it.
Sure.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's how the Rebels fucking felt when Darth Vader popped in. Because oh my gosh, I mean, you talk about Ezra sort of, and I think it's a testament to the growth of his abilities and also sort of the growth and the specific sort of form that his Force abilities take. That he kind of is the first one to clock this dark presence. He says as much to Kanan. Maybe Kanan.
Yeah.
Maybe
he feels
Kanan,
cold.
like,
yeah,
like right at the beginning when they get there, and then but then they both kind of stop. They feel the aura. They feel the presence. They feel the swag before they even turn around, bro. They just know
they feel the intimidation. It's crazy, and to have that with it to be continued is fucking insane. Next this episode obviously picks up.
Yeah.
Like the
Can
next
we-
part picks up where it leaves off.
Yeah.
I thought we'd review the whole I thought we'd do a review of the episode in full afterwards because
Oh yeah, sure, yeah,
I think
totally.
it just makes sense to me. But I will just say I think that what is interesting, how it's divided, I think is really cool, which is that part 1 is about Vader as a leader and as a commander.
Yeah.
And part 2 is about Vader as a warrior.
Interesting.
And of course, part 1 ends with the tease of Vader as a warrior, and then we pick it up. And then there's this just excellent duel between Kanan and Ezra and Vader. It's just an excellent lightsaber duel. It's one of the things, due to the saber duels in the original trilogy being slower and more methodical because of the still developing VFX technology. Vader does fight with a very clunky, blocky style, which also can be attributed to his armor and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And him just growing to be an older man. I mean, not old, but in his 40s, and having sustained serious injuries on Mustafar and stuff like that. But what I appreciate about Rebels, and this is of course also Rebels is before Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Jedi games, where we get a more animated Vader, and even honestly in Twilight and Apprentice, we get a bit more of an animated Vader. But because still the duel is exceptionally slow comparative to a lot of other duels, but it works to me because there's a psychological intimidation to it, where just to strike at Vader and just to keep up with him, you Kanan and Ezra have to get through this fog of fear, of coldness.
Yeah. I mean, Vader barely is fighting. He's kind of just toying with them. Like you said, he's still, and he's moving so slow, and doing what he's doing. If you watch this, I attributed that almost just towards how strong and skilled and powerful and dangerous he is, where he's barely trying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely that too.
You just kind of stand in there, swatting them around.
And again, it's a weird thing. I never want to act like I'm rooting for the villains, but I will just say, the way that he grabs Kanan's lightsaber, turns it off, and then flings him across, that is awesome.
Dude, he throws
that is just
Kanan,
cool.
He throws Kanan 40 feet with one hand. God help Kanan and Ezra. Vader is terrifying in this.
Vader
so
is
intimidating, man.
Horrifying. This was the introduction to Vader as the slasher villain that Rogue One expanded on, and then Obi-Wan Kenobi said, "Hold my beer. Let's do this. Let's take this to 11." But yeah, no, it's terrifying. Of course, he throws Ezra across, and he has, "Your master has deceived you into believing you can become a Jedi." Perfect. Love it. And after that, we have that moment where Vader is using the Force to slowly move Ezra's blade more and more towards his throat.
Yeah. It's insane.
And then we cut to the cold open. And that's a fucking cold open if I've ever seen one for that show. One thing I will say, obviously after the cold open, the Vader's grasp is broken by Kanan attacking him from behind.
Yeah.
And that's fine. One nitpick I've always had with this episode is there is an easy fucking way Ezra could have escaped that, and they should have goddamn used it.
And what's that?
If you look at the shot of Ezra nearing the blade, obviously he sees his side of the lightsaber. What side do we see of the lightsaber?
Oh, the blaster.
He could have just shot him.
I mean, maybe Vader was so... Maybe he had such a grip on him with the Force that he couldn't move his finger to the trigger,
I can totally like think like it's not like a why didn't Ezra do this, because I understand like he probably was just like so fucking terrified at the moment. I just think it was a missed opportunity from like a story perspective. I think it would have been cool to like, and I don't think shooting Vader, to be clear, would have done anything, but it just would have been a cool way for Ezra to escape. I think
I can agree. I can agree with that from a story perspective, kind of making the like the blaster saber barely really sees some use. It reflects. Obviously, it reflects who he is, and there's a few moments in season 1 when he really uses it, and then season 2, kind of as he progresses, before
and it's just again, this is a very small nitpick. It's just like literally we are staring down the barrel of that damn thing. And like as it moves closer and closer, like it becomes larger and larger as we zoom in. I'm like, come on, it was right there.
Yeah. It would have been cool for the story, but
it would have been cool. But I like again,
I think.
Overly large nitpick for such an ultimately small moment, but it's been lurking in my mind since 2015. So
fair enough. Fair enough.
But yeah, they finally do manage to push Vader back a bit. And even collapse a few ATDP walkers on him. And then
this is the best part right here. Yeah.
We get Darth Vader's first ever superhero moment. Lifts the ATDP walkers up. Barely a scratch on him. The contrast of the pitch black Vader suit, which I think is actually darker, like more uniformly dark in Rebels than it is in the original trilogy. Uniformly dark than it is in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Just because of a stylistic thing, and I'm not saying that's bad or anything. In fact, I think it works with a Rebels design style incredibly well. But like the visual of like the pitch black Vader, like against the yellows and oranges of the explosion is just beautiful. It just looks gorgeous.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it really
incredibly striking.
Yeah. It's one of sort of the like marquee sort of shots and moments of the entire season, honestly. Like they use it
and they try to do it again
in the trailers and
and they try to do it again in Jedi Survivor with the burning bookshelves with Seer on Jedi. And that moment's cool, don't get me wrong. This is the moment that they did it first.
Yeah.
This is the moment that they did you cannot kill this motherfucker moment. This is it. And Ezra says it like if that won't kill him, what does? And then of course they use that time even as they're shocked by this to escape. I love the last thing I'll say from that fight that I loved is Sabine trying to shoot him and Vader deflecting the blaster bolts. Do you see how far his arm moves when he's doing that?
Yeah.
It moves like an inch or two. Like the just like calm of like it's a visual that our listeners won't see, but like look at the usually if you're blocking if my hand's the lightsaber right here, Jacob, like you usually go like boom boom, but this Vader was boom boom. It's incredibly badass. It's like the sheer lack of effort into it is just so cool.
Yeah.
But it knocks Sabine out cold for a few minutes. So yeah, the Rebels escape Vader, and I wrote my notes. Sure, if the Rebels escape Vader, sure, but it was fucking barely, and they were embarrassed hard by one man, and that's devastating. It's just devastating. Even before we get to the second part of the episode.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
and of course, Ezra asks Kanan what the hell that was. Another Inquisitor, and Kanan says, something worse, a Sith Lord, the ancient enemy of the Jedi. And of course, this is not news to any of us, but still the first time that the phrase Dark Lord of the Sith is it hits like a truck.
Yeah.
Like, Inquisitors are scary, don't get me wrong, but this is the real deal.
Yeah, he's the man. Like, the Inquisitors are the Inquisitors, and then there's fucking Darth Vader,
And then there's Darth goddamn Vader, yeah, and it's just scary.
Yeah. To this point, as they're flying away from Lothal on the shuttle, this is the lowest we've ever seen the rebels as a group. They're so demoralized.
So far, yeah.
Like Kanan, like when he like that's a memorable line as well as when Ezra says, "How do we fight him?" Kanan goes, "Fight him, Ezra. We're lucky to be alive.
Lucky to survive."
Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't even know, like, the depth
But
of
I don't know
what
if
has
you.
pushed against us.
What was I gonna say? Did you? I don't know if you got flashbacks to Jedi Fallen Order at that moment, where at the end where you're lucky to survive against Darth Vader. But I definitely did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I, for some reason, thought that Lando's droid that was based off of an early Ralph McQuarrie drawing for C-3PO was part of the first episode of Rebels.
No.
But yeah, it was part of the second. But I really do love like that imagery of them approaching like the Ralph McQuarrie 3PO knockoff droid on
Yeah.
Lothal, which was also based off of Ralph McQuarrie concept art. It makes me
Yeah.
it feel so Star Warsy to me.
Yeah, I mean
and
pretty much everything in Rebels is based on almost every original design from Rebels that's original to Rebels comes from the original concept art of stuff that was, changed or never used. Like the hairless Wookiee line in Spark of Rebellion for Zeb.
yeah,
Like Zeb originally was one of the Chewbacca designs, and it makes sense
Yeah.
that they didn't go with that one for the movie back
But-
in '77.
but they reused it and made it into a Lasat. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's part of why
Yeah.
Rebels has such a unique
yeah,
sort of flavor is all
Yeah.
of the material that they're using, which is those Ralph McQuarrie paintings. I love it. Like
Yeah.
even Vader's helmet, has different proportions, a different look.
Yeah.
More like
that looks more like
the original.
McQuarrie art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Ezra's helmet, the cadet helmets. That's like an early, maybe stormtrooper design. I can't remember exactly, but
I
that
think
all
it's
like.
a stormtrooper design. Yeah.
I mean, we could.
You're right.
We could sit here for half an hour
We could go
talking
on,
about
yeah.
everything that comes from the McQuarrie. Suffice it to say, this show really is that brought to life. On
Yeah,
us,
absolutely.
Which I love.
Yeah, of course. Then they burn Tarkin Town and arrest everybody from there.
Oh yeah,
Vader saying,
The compassion of the rebels is a weakness, one we will exploit.
which to me is actually pretty reminiscent of Jedi cannot help what they are. Their compassion leaves the trail from the Grand Inquisitor in Obi-Wan Kenobi. And both times, yeah, like, and you can see Ezra going to take the bait. You can see Ezra like seeing the burning and Kanan being like, "Uh-oh, that's not good." And then and then Ezra like going to see what it is, and Kanan's like, "Well, I'll follow him."
Yeah.
And and we get that great exchange with them. Things are getting worse just as they did back when I was your age. But back then there were 10,000 Jedi Knights protecting the galaxy. Now there's just you and me. Which obviously, we know retcons and stuff like that. That's not true, and there are other ones out there. I do find it funny that they say this despite literally being on a Corvette with one, even if they don't identify with it at the moment. Like a day ago. Like Ahsoka's right there, guys. Come on. Like yeah, but still, the point is, as we were talking about before, the Empire is not going to make this easy on them. Every time they get a major win, the Empire is going to hit back twice as hard. That does not mean they should keep fighting. I'm reading from my notes here. That doesn't mean they should keep fighting, only that they should be aware that their actions will have unintended consequences, as I said before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's and Ezra responds to Kanan, "I'm not afraid," and Kanan says, "That's what worries me." And I understand Kanan's concern, because of course overconfidence and arrogance, which are both enemies of the Jedi mindset. However, I think Kanan's also allowing himself to be a bit ruled by fear right now. I think Kanan is so afraid of the potential negative consequences for understandable reasons, because he saw all of the negative consequences that could happen in the last war, that he can't imagine that there could be positive consequences.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, I think I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, he really, like you said, like he is also just dealing with a level of personal trauma from his own experiences of losing his master and living through Order 66 that makes him, incredibly gun shy, about heading into another war.
Yeah. It's incredible. It's incredibly good writing. I'll just say that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then they escape, and it's deceptively easy. Obviously, we learn later because they're being tracked.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank God they're getting off of Lothal. I'm excited for them to see more of the galaxy. Cool thing, I think it'll be funny to you. The clearance code that Hera gives the Rebel fleet. Did you catch that?
Did not.
121815.
What's that significance?
Let's write it out in date format.
121815.
121815. December 18th, 2015. Release date of Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens.
Oh, nice.
Which I believe actually is after this came out, ironically enough.
Yeah, that came out. It kind of this season kind of had a weird, like a long hiatus.
This episode aired.
Because of
this episode aired on June 20th, 2015. So yeah, that The Force Awakens was still about 6 months away, ironically, but still funny. Although I seem to remember. Give me a second. I seem to remember that Force Awakens was the 17th, but I might be wrong. No, it was the 18th. I was wrong. But yeah, so they're tracked, and the imps find them. But something's off, Jacob. It's only one ship.
Yeah, that's not just any ship.
Doesn't seem to matter because I do appreciate that they never underestimate that it's one ship, that Phoenix Squadron is still deployed after that one ship. But it doesn't matter. Those red shirts are torn through like butter. Sato asks, how can one fighter best our entire squadron? And I say to Sato, because the pilot was the first human ever to win a pod race, an ace pilot and general throughout the Clone Wars, and has served the Empire since its inception, Commander Sato. That's how. The sequence of Vader mowing through Phoenix Squadron, decimating. I don't know if you saw how many left after that. Did you see?
No.
It's like a squadron of 8 or 9. There's 2 left. Vader kills Vader wipes out almost all of them.
That's
God. It's gnarly. It's brutal. And of course, it's not like the Phoenix cell is bursting with pilots right now.
Yeah, they're making do with. They're fighting,
and of course he also
field ships,
and he also of course demolishes one of the corvettes as well, which Sato and his crew have to.
Not just the corvette, he demolishes Phoenix Home. That's their flagship. That's
that is their flag. I didn't know that was their flagship.
It's the Pelta class frigate. The Republic used to use them as medical transports. They show up in the
I did not realize that was the main one, but it makes sense because Sato was on it. But yeah, it's horrifying. It's just a horrifying sequence. Yeah, and then Ahsoka decides to go with the Ghost crew. All right, kids, do mom and dad proud. Which every time one of those found family moments, I get all warm and fuzzy inside for a second. I love found family tropes and stuff. I really do. It's great. Love that stuff. And then Ahsoka and we have our final big plot point of the episode. The Force is strong with him, Kanan. Let's find out how strong. They sense through the Force. There's a brief pause. The Apprentice lives. And it's at this moment, after 15 years, that Vader discovers that Anakin Skywalker discovers that his Padawan survived. And Ahsoka Tano discovered exactly what her master became.
Yeah, it's quite a moment.
What a phenomenal moment. I love how it's done. Obviously, it's not going to be the last we address of this. as it's the first episode of the season, it is clearly setting up for later. And I would say that, of course, even if we didn't know what was going to happen in the later episodes. It's such a great, like, what I appreciate so much about this, especially with both of them, honestly, is the aftermath. Is that they kind of both do the same thing, where Ahsoka's asked by, I think, let's see. Yeah. Kanan says, I haven't sensed a presence like that since the Clone Wars, Ahsoka says. And Ahsoka lies to the crew, and she says she doesn't know what it is. And I think she does know. But I don't blame Ahsoka. I think also Ahsoka's kind of lying to herself. And again, I don't blame her. To find out that your mentor, obviously the Ahsoka series, is covering this theme in depth, especially Shadow Warrior, the 5th episode in The World Between Worlds, of what does it say when your teacher, who is a great general and just incredible human being and like an incredible mentor to you, becomes a genocidal monster.
Yeah.
And I don't think Ahsoka's ready to admit. I think Ahsoka's still in a bit of denial about that, even though she senses it. And she, as Vader would say to his son many years later, she used her feelings and she knows it to be true.
Yeah. She also might just, in addition to everything you say, I think this, for Ezra and Kanan, maybe revealing that to them at this point is too much,
Oh yeah, no, I think that's too, but I also just
in terms of keeping them focused,
Yeah, no, you have a very good point. And then, of course, Vader goes back to his master. And I love, by the way, that we get a Dark Superior tease at the beginning of each season of the show. We get the Vader tease in season 1, and then we get the Sidious tease in season 2, and the Palpatine tease in season 2.
Yeah.
By the way, no offense to Sam Witwer, fantastic actor, voice actor. Love him in his many roles. It's a little weird that he did Palpatine here when they just turn around to Gideon in season 4, but that's just a little nitpick.
I mean, he's pinch hitting. He loves. He loves this shit. And Palpatine's in this for like 2 seconds. Like, it makes sense.
Oh yeah, we don't even see him.
He does a damn good. Yeah, he does a damn good job.
He does a good job. It's just it's just weird that it's weird that they get Ian later on anyway.
Yeah, it's not often.
Show,
it's not often that we have 2 different voice actors for the same
character in the same show. Yeah.
Yeah, barring
Barring, ironically, the only other example is Palpatine in the Clone Wars, but again, the first actor died.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But
I love how we go look further up the chain. First season it was like the Inquisitor talking to Vader, and now it's Vader's talking to the Emperor.
Vader talking to the Emperor. Yeah. Skywalker's apprentice could lead us to other lost Jedi,
such as Kenobi.
And don't get me wrong, especially in the aftermath of Obi-Wan Kenobi, don't get me wrong. Do I think Vader is interested in going after Obi-Wan? Yes, I do. But don't convince me that this isn't about Ahsoka too. I don't think he's interested in another Lost Jedi at this point. I think he's interested in his damn apprentice.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, Vader, throughout these kind of things, he talked, including he is very much personally. I think he's much more personally motivated than he is motivated by actually furthering the interests of the Empire or even the goals of his master. For him, it's all about the personal.
Yeah.
The personal
but even
things.
But I almost think he offered Obi-Wan up to Palpatine as a sort of a red herring. Not that he wasn't focused on Kenobi, but it's only been 4 years since he's seen Kenobi. 5 years, maybe.
But he wants revenge for getting humiliated, putting a hole in the ground.
Yeah, and he does, and I get it, and I agree with you. But it's been 15 years since he's seen Tano,
Yeah.
and that's a big thing.
Yeah.
That's a big thing for him. He thought she was dead. In fact, we know this. He picked up the lightsaber on the thing that they landed on in fucking Clone Wars at the end, and the epilogue of Clone Wars season 7. We know. And we of course end with Vader promising to send more Inquisitors after the Ghost crew as well. And here's something I'm wondering about with me. I think actually Vader was a little bit misused in Rebels. And here's what I mean. Vader ghosts until the finale.
Yeah, he just bookends this season. He's not involved.
Yeah. And while I don't think every episode should have contained Vader, to be clear, because that would have gotten it over saturation pretty quickly, I do wonder what it would be like if he showed up in the middle, like in the mid-season.
Yeah, I agree. I think this ties into a larger sort of, well, not problem, but sort of an observation that I have about this season, which if we're wrapping up the episode and getting to our overall thoughts, I could go into, but I do kind of wonder, what is it? Why is Vader here? And if from a in-universe story perspective, why does Vader come all the way out to Lothal? Really hunt down these Jedi. Ahsoka, like he knows Ahsoka's alive, and he's just, for the whole season we don't see him. He's off the gas. He's dealing with other things apparently that are more important than this. Like, maybe, I don't know, it's not like a huge, I'm not saying it's a plot hole or anything.
No, it's just a little strange that Vader kind of almost feels in the season. I'm not saying in these episodes, but in the season he almost kind of feels a bit like a set piece.
Yeah. I mean, I think to be honest, I think it might be good for the show. It might have been a good decision that we only get a little bit of Vader in the show, because he has so much presence and sort of takes up so much space. And as well, he raises the stakes for this cast of characters and for the story that we're telling, that we have with Kanan and Ezra and these guys. That's a level of stakes that he brings where it's sort of like,
I'll say this
feel
about
suffocating.
Vader. I'll say this about Vader. Either I would have preferred if either he appeared another time in this season, or he appeared another time in a season after this. Because after Twilight Apprentice, he's just gone.
Yeah, he's out. He doesn't care. He's
like, we
got
never
bigger
seen,
fish to fry, apparently.
Like, if we had an episode with him in a mid-season in season 3, I think that would have been interesting, and I think that would have been a better way to use him in the show, just in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it's a little like the way they write him and the way they execute him in the show, to be clear, is awesome, and I have no complaints about that. It's just the way he works into the overarching story of the show that is a little weird to me.
I just kind of feel like, from a storytelling perspective, I think the show might sort of collapse under its own weight if Vader featured much more heavily than he does, just because he's such a kind of a renowned character and he has that presence, he has that aura. I'm shameless, I'll say it, that he does in this show. I think it gives everything more breathing room, for the stretch of a whole season when he's not figuring heavily in it. Also, after he thinks Ahsoka's dead, he pieces out. He doesn't care about this group of people anymore. He doesn't care about Kanan and Ezra, at least just based on him not being in the show in season 3 or 4. So maybe that's another explanation. It's sort of like he is worried about Ahsoka and Obi-Wan. That's who he is interested in, and he kind of, if he is really just worried about his personal grudges and his personal, torments, which he evident, he pretty much is. That's who Vader is. He doesn't necessarily care about going after Ezra and Kanan and the Ghost crew because he wants to stamp out some rebels, I would say.
Yeah, no, I can understand your point of view. It'll just still always be a little weird of his usage in the show for me. But
yeah, I agree that they could have found a middle ground of having him figure a little bit more, and that might make it.
I'm
feel
not
a
again.
little bit...
Even one more time, just one more time, I think would have been the perfect balance.
Because you do kind of have
I think would have been great.
I mean, you do kind of have a post-Vader letdown, I would say. Like, wait, last episode they were fighting for their lives, to escape Vader, and now we're back to, is it straight to the Lost Commanders? I think it is. I can't remember.
It's straight to the Lost Commanders. So
yeah, which is not a bad episode by any means, but like all of us,
that double episode is still big because of the Rex and Gregor and Wolf thing. But
we're back to like kind of a little bit more noodling around. Not saying it's like unserious, but like it.
But also we also have the bigger like idea of like first Vader, and then for me it's not a letdown, I guess, as much because the expansion of the galaxy starts right after that.
Yeah.
Immediately we start exploring new places. Immediately they start going to weirder and more wonderful places and stuff like that. Like that's my in to that. But I get where you're coming from.
I think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this segues into something that I kind of I'm wondering what you think about this for the season as a whole in this episode, and sort of my overall thoughts about the Siege of Lothal, which is this really raises the stakes and really gets us into the darker, more intense place that season 2 inhabits some of the time, and sort of as a whole thinking about the big moments and important turning points of this season, what it really does. But as a whole, I feel like the rest of the season, much of the season until Twilight of the Apprentice, doesn't quite live up to what these episodes prepare us for. And I don't think it doesn't it's not a huge shortcoming of the show that it doesn't, because we know what Rebels is, especially at this point. We're still in the first half of the show, the little bit younger side of the show, I feel like. But I don't feel like we ever, for what this sets the table for, we don't really get that again until Twilight of the Apprentice. Like this level of intensity, of desperation.
I hard disagree.
Really?
I hard disagree. Yes. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to like diss you or anything like that. I think you might be forgetting what's coming in this season. The final episode of what we're covering next week is a suspense thriller stalker episode. We get an episode where Hera almost dies. There's some really dark shit in this season.
I mean, yeah. There are moments like I love always two. There are. That's one of my favorite episodes. The Future of the Force. Like those are two. Those are two absolutely.
Is about child kidnappings.
Those are two absolutely where like we do get more of this.
The Prisoner of Concord Dawn. Hera almost dies.
But like somehow we know. I feel like we know she's not going to, and for me, like that. Like it's a solid episode, but for me that doesn't really, for whatever reason, that doesn't hit emotionally the way that we see it impact the characters. For me as an audience member, I wasn't sold on that. I think all in all, we're sort of and this is fine, it's not, but like we're bookended by these, crazy kind of these crazy episodes of just madness and desperation. And then the rest of the season is a little closer to see how season 1 feels much of the time. It's not to say that it's bad. And I agree with you. I think now that I'm actually looking back at the episodes, like throughout the season, like it is overall definitely a couple, or kicking it up a notch or two, 100%.
And then I think we kick it up several more notches for season 3, which I think causes some people, including myself, to forget about how much darker season 2 is than 1.
Yeah. But I think overall, I don't know. It's a bit
No,
jarring going
yeah.
straight from this to the Lost Commanders. But overall, I think this does like
Yeah.
set us up for a great season, you know. So
Yeah.
I
No,
understand where you're coming from. I think I'm sort of toning as I'm going back. I'm looking at Disney Plus right now at the actual list of the episodes, just to really remember everything that happens. And like, yeah, I think I'm gonna dial back what I said
yeah.
a little bit. Where like this and Trial of the Apprentice, you know, that's the darkest the season gets. But there's plenty of other moments
Yeah.
as well where it's pretty. It can get intense
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, and yeah, and I think it is for me. I think that comes from, and you can tell me if this is wrong, but for me that comes from like a whole like the Vader of it all. Honestly, like you know we're given that like Vader, you know, obviously like busts through in this episode, and then kind of just dips for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Again, and which is fine. It's just a little like I just remember like. I think this was a marketing thing, and frankly, I don't blame the marketing on this because why wouldn't you want to advertise on Darth Vader? But like, I feel like I remember the marketing like portraying this as being like the Vader season, as like they were not going to be able to escape Vader, and really in the season they escape Vader quite well, actually.
Yeah.
He's in the first and the last episode, if you don't count Shroud of Darkness, and that's a vision. So like, yeah, yeah. Either way, any other thoughts for you, Jacob, about the season premiere of Star Wars Rebels season 2?
Not really. Overall, I dug these episodes quite a bit, you know. I think it's firing on all cylinders and really kind of sets us up for an incredible season, really expanding the horizons of this show and Rebel the universe and the world of Rebels.
Yeah, no, I love this episode. It's absolutely a banger. Yeah, great development for Kanan and Ezra. Obviously, Vader's the star of the show, just absolutely terrifying everybody. The stakes are real. They can't get to back to Lothal anytime soon. Let's explore the galaxy, and I'm so utterly excited to do exactly that throughout the season. That's going to be it for this episode of Star Wars in the Galaxy. Next week, we are going to be covering the next 3 episodes of Star Wars: Rebels, The Lost Commanders, Relics of the Old Republic, and Always Two There Are, with a special guest, my friend in the Star Wars fandom. I've known her in the Star Wars fandom for a while. My friend Amy, who it was in the last year, I recruited her to be one of the writers for Star Wars in the Galaxy Epic Confrontations, and she and I have become friendly through that. And I asked her, hey, would you want to come on and discuss Rebels with us? And she said, absolutely. So it'll be us and Amy at Guerra de Galaxia on BlueSky. Great person. I'm excited to have her on for that next episode. Until then, you can find us on BlueSky at inagalaxypod.bsky.social. You can find me everywhere on my Linktree, linktr.ee/_OGFan327. You can listen to us everywhere you find your podcasts. And as of today, we officially announced that Star Wars in a Galaxy Epic Conversations will be hosting its second ever Hyperspace Gauntlet event on August 9th, which will be about a month from now as when the episode comes out. We are so excited for this epic tournament. You know, after the first one, we were like, we have to do this again, but we didn't want to do it every year because it'd just be too much for us all to handle here at Epic Conversations in terms of production and writing and stuff like that. So we made a compromise. We said, we're going to do this every other year. And we're back. We're doing Hyperspace 2. We're so excited. If you know of anybody who might be interested, please have them DM me on BlueSky at ogfan327.bsky.social or on the Epic Confrontations account at inagalaxytrivia.bsky.social. Yeah, we're so excited for Boop and Connor and everybody else at the Epic Confrontations team. So excited for Hyperspace. And we're going to make this an event to remember. Other than that, if there's nothing else, may the Force be with you. Always.
Always.